Hey guys, I just wanted to wrap up my whole occupational therapy school journey with one final video, sort of just talking, rambling about different thoughts I had about OT school. So, one thing to know about OT school, at least from my experience, and I went to one school, so you know there's different experiences, is that in OT school you spend a lot of time in classes and there are a lot of group projects. That's just at least been my experience, and I've heard that from other people. That's not to say that that's every single program's experience, but that's definitely something that appears to be a common theme in occupational therapy school, is a ton of group projects and just long class hours, like dense class schedules, which is definitely not typical of all master's programs. So that's something to anticipate. At least in my program, we had long days and we definitely sat through a lot of lectures. We had a ton of hands-on stuff as well, but that sort of came later in the program. The first year was a lot of more of the foundational stuff, basics of neurology and anatomy, theory, those kinds of things, and we really didn't jump into the hands-on stuff and sort of those more fun labs, like a wheelchair lab where we learned about all the different components of a wheelchair and how to take it apart, and we were able to ride and play different wheelchair sports. That kind of really, those fun lab activities that you get to do, those were mostly concentrated in the second year of occupational therapy school. Sort of that more hands-on stuff, at least for my school, was later on. We had some of it in the beginning, but the majority of it was really happening in that last year. So if you're in the first year and it seems very, theory or science driven and heavy and dry, at least for my program, the second year there was a lot more hands-on stuff, so that's something to be aware of. Another thing that I just wanted to comment on as far as school is concerned is that for me, there wasn't enough client interaction in my school for what I kind of needed. I felt like towards the end of school I was starting to lose a little bit of that enthusiasm for OT just because I wasn't getting enough client interaction. And so if you're there at all, I would totally recommend volunteering somewhere so that you can work with clients. That's what I ended up doing in my last semester, and I think it really, really just helped me become a better therapist because I feel like I have a better rapport with people, but also I just kind of felt like I had a little piece of my week that I got to interact with clients on a regular basis and build those connections, and that's something that really fueled my energy and made me really excited about becoming an OT, because I was starting to feel like it was just too many lectures, sitting through too many group projects, and I was losing the things that I loved about OT school. So not to say that, OT school is horrible at all, but if you're starting to notice, that you've lost out on a little bit of that client interaction, then I totally recommend volunteering somewhere that you can work with clients. I'm sure there are organizations that need your help. They're definitely where I live, and that's something that completely helped me sort of get through this last semester and remember why I love OT, why I want to be an occupational therapist, and overall I think I'm a better therapist because I learned different things. I was working with a PT and I learned things that I never would have learned from just OT school, and so that was awesome. Just another comment I have that's not really related to my program necessarily, but as I had a big class for my school. There were 90 of us, which is a huge class. Most programs are a lot smaller. But remember that your classmates you're all headed in the same direction, and it's great if you can share your ideas and help each other and sort of build this community of ideas where everyone's trying to get better together as opposed to being competitive. I think for the most part my class did a really nice job of that. We had a Facebook page, and people would post things and share ideas, and it was overall pretty good, but occasionally sometimes it would get a little competitive. Very rarely, not very often, but I think, there's something great about everybody coming together and building each other up to be better therapists. When you share the tools that you have, when you share, the things that you're learning with your fieldwork experiences or with your different volunteer experiences or whatever, everybody's bringing different experiences to the table, and if you can share those with your classmates, everybody becomes better as opposed to competing and not sharing those. Another little tidbit that I had is for those who are currently going through OT school, because I wish I would have done this, I think, throughout OT school. Basically, at the end, when I finished, I went through and we had Blackboard where our teachers would post all of our lectures and handouts and stuff, and I don't know what other schools are doing, but after school was finished, I went through and I looked at all the different Blackboard pages for my classes, and I printed out all the different assessments, all the different intervention ideas, and I made 2 different binders for myself. So I have one that's just a bunch of assessments and sort of the instructions on how to give them and when you would use them, things like that. And then I have another that's just random intervention ideas on how to work with different populations. And I made those 2, and I'm really excited about having them because I think, especially as a new therapist, just knowing that if I'm completely stuck, I can grab my binder and look and think of something. I mean, we learned so much, and there are so many great ideas, but I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. So just knowing that I have all of them in a binder is super helpful. So as you're going through school, I wish, and you don't have to do this, but this is what I wish I would have done, is I wish I would have just at the end of each semester printed off the things that I thought were really helpful and just started making a binder throughout the different semesters as opposed to going back at the end. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, obviously I got it finished and I have the most of the stuff that I need, but it definitely took, it took a couple hours, whereas I think if you took, a little bit of time each semester, it probably would have been a lot faster, and I'm sure that I missed things just because our Blackboard pages leave after a certain, like a year or something like that, so I'm sure I don't have everything that I could have had as resources. Overall, I just want to say I had a really great time at OT school as a whole. There were times that were really hard, and there were times that were really easy, and there were times that were fun, and there were times that were stressful. And I'm finished, and I'm really glad that I'm finished, and I am happy that I switched to master's and I'm not doing an additional year, because for me right now, I just feel like I really need to have some of that, hands-on patient interaction. Like, let's go. I'm ready to be an OT. But overall, it's been a really great experience, and I've grown so much more than I anticipated. As far as videos are concerned, I am thinking that at this point, I'm going to take a break, at least for now. I have ideas in the future about how I might make additional videos related to occupational therapy, and I've totally loved this experience and recommend it to anyone who's interested in sort of documenting their journey, but I feel like I need a little bit of a break and I need to concentrate on some other areas of my life, and so at least for now, I'm going to call this my final video for the time being, and maybe you'll see more from me later on as related to occupational therapy, but it'll be at least a couple of months in the future. So I hope you're having a great day. Bye.